It is go time on another edition of the Eye on Life podcast. If you're watching, the handsome guy, I'm not talking about myself, obviously, but the handsome guy with me today is back for more, which we appreciate. Ben Darnell, rocking the glasses. If you're watching, if you're not watching, you're missing out. If you're just listening to the audio, but Ben Darnell, sports talk radio show host here in Hartford, co-host a great show with Rob Dibble. And Ben, Happy New Year. I know it's we're into the new year now, but it's great to see you.
It's great to see you. New Year's going good. Sports are still happening and kind of coming at us a mile a minute. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's only going to get better with March right around the corner.
Well, you said that the glasses are not just for show, that you actually need the glasses. You said the glasses hopefully make you look smarter. And as I said, if we're measuring the amount of glasses to make one smarter, I don't know if you can wear like 10 or so. Maybe I could put 10 around my head. That would make me significantly more intellectual. I don't know, but I don't think that's going to help.
I've been thinking about just the monocle going Monopoly style. I think that would really.
Well, the glasses are very strange because glasses really can make or break. I mean, there are people who are really not that attractive that look much better with glasses, and then vice versa. And then, there's always the Harry Potter look, and there's the hipster look. Yeah. So I feel like glasses are, it's a personal thing. You have to be comfortable with it on your own face. But then at the same time, I feel like people are very judgmental about glasses.
I don't wear them enough because of that. Like, I need them to actually see.
Right.
And it's really like far away things. And I noticed on scoreboards a long time ago where I just couldn't tell the difference between 5s, 6s, 8s, and 2s sometimes creep in there. And it just got to the point, and like press releases and press sheets on kids where statistics will be in 6-point font, if not smaller. Right. So it was just a necessity at one point. But I don't have more than just these pair. These are like my go-tos and my onlys.
Well, I have to, full transparency, over the course of the football season, and we're really not here to talk about X's and O's today. We're going to talk about some off the field items, which are a lot more fun than, the drafts and all that. I love the draft. I do love the draft, but if you're not a sports fan, you don't necessarily love the draft. But I almost got a pair of glasses during the course of the football season because there was no way that as a Giants fan, that Daniel Jones could have more fumbles in a game than the Giants had points. I figured I wasn't seeing it correctly. So I almost bought a pair of glasses until I realized, no, that's actually what's happening.
I thought he played great, man. I think you should be happy. He is like, as far as every team except Tampa Bay and Kansas City, every team is talking about moving a quarterback or not happy with what they have. And the Giants fall in the category of one of the very few teams that don't have any kind of quarterback controversy.
Well, that's because the Giants management is delusional. They feel like they have their guy, and they probably don't. But that's a whole other story. I hope that's right. Listen, Ben, there's no controversy when management doesn't think your lousy quarterback is lousy, right? Of course, there's no controversy.
Great. So I think he has exceeded expectations.
I am hopeful. It does help if you have receivers that catch the ball, or tight ends, Evan Ingram, that catch the ball. When you have a line that doesn't, it's not a prison break every play. So I agree with you. I am. But this is it. This is the year right here. It's either this year or that's it. It's got to be it.
Well, Saquon is one of the best football players in the league, and when you don't have him on the team for 13 games, that can affect what you do on offense.
I agree, but as I've said to people before, you're only one of the best players and most dynamic players in the league if you're actually playing.
Best ability.
If you're always injured, I'm sorry. I don't care how great you are, but you are right. Hopefully we get him back, and that makes a big difference. So you're listening to the Eye on Life podcast. Like us, share us, follow us, all of the above. Ben Darnell's with us. Thanks to our show sponsor, mustny.com, COVID masks. And I also want to just shout out to some new listeners in the Bronx, New York, representing New York City and the Bronx. So we appreciate that. And Calgary, Alberta, which I think is from the Warp Kings, who were on a few weeks ago. They have a big following in Calgary. So a bunch of their fans were probably listening to them. They were amazing. So I have a very important question to ask you as we get started here, Ben. You obviously, I assume you watched the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Okay. So we're not going to necessarily talk about the Super Bowl itself. But I have a very, very important question for you about the Super Bowl. What did you think of the halftime show? Did you watch the halftime show?
I did.
And okay, so for anybody who did not watch the Super Bowl, it was The Weeknd.
Yeah.
It was, I guess, I get pop, rap, a little rock in there, right? He's kind of a little bit of a mixture. He's sort of popish, right? When you say
he's a song and dance man.
He's definitely a song and dance man. And I want to ask you about your take on the Super Bowl show, because every year I feel like people overreact to it, one way or the other. It was either the best thing they've ever seen in their entire life, which is rare. There aren't many people, or everybody is bashing the Super Bowl show. And I just sort of feel like people should just take it for what it is. It's entertainment. It's 15 minutes. You're just tying together the gap between the end of the second quarter and the beginning of the third quarter. And I feel like people get a little bit crazy about all the, they're analyzing it and they're bashing it on social media. And he did this wrong, and this move was wrong, and this dancer was out of place. Just take it for what it's worth as entertainment. What do you think overall, and how did you feel? How did you think the Weeknd did this year? I thought it was actually very entertaining.
After doing sports talk radio for so long, this has always been a topic of discussion as far as who should get the halftime show. And the argument is always one with AC/DC at the end. And it's always a head scratcher. Like, why hasn't AC/DC is used in kickoffs and just going to the bathroom breaks? Like, it's so throughout the stadium for the last 30 to 40 years. But yet they have never been asked to do the halftime show, which is just bonkers to me. But that's always the one that in the South and North Carolina, I haven't really brought the topic up here. It hasn't really been a debated topic up here, but in the Midwest and Indiana, Ohio, it's been a discussion, and it always comes out AC/DC. The classic rock ones always get the thumbs up as far as being people's favorites, like The Who. I was a fan of Prince. Tom Petty was a big one. Paul McCartney always comes up. But like The Weeknd, Chris Brown, I think you know what you're going to get when like, if you don't like The Weeknd, then you don't like The Weeknd. You got 20 of his songs about 30 seconds in, and there's some dancing. There was a thing about I don't know if you know about the guys wearing, people thought they were jock straps, but they were like bandages, and it was a thing on plastic surgery and stuff, and that's whatever. But the first one, I'm a big fan of sports history, sir. The first one was the Rose Bowl marching band, or I think some college marching band, which in my eyes would be boring.
That would be a little, that's certainly not The Weeknd or AC/DC right there.
Like, it's 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. It makes the game a little bit longer. What people have said from teams that have played in the Super Bowl is that the halftime is so long compared to what it would be in the regular season or other playoff games that it kind of throws you off a little bit coming into the second half. But both teams got to deal with it, so whatever. But the Super Bowl is, and this is the other thing I always try to explain to people, when it comes to The Weeknd or Beyonce or anyone or Lady Gaga, people that you don't think is like AC/DC, it's because they have us AC/DC fans at the Super Bowl already. Like, we are football fans and we are watching the Super Bowl regardless. They are trying to get fans that are my mom, my sister, and my grandma. And if they can succeed with The Weeknd doing halftime show, then that's a win for them. And, more power to them. I'm not a hater of the halftime show. I like them all.
If grandma heard some of the real Weeknd songs with the unedited, uncut versions, I think she might not necessarily want to hear The Weeknd. But I do understand but you are. And actually, because I don't know I actually do like The Weeknd. I think he's actually pretty talented. But if you actually listen to his songs, and when I heard that he was going to be at the Super Bowl, I thought it was going to be like a 2-minute show, because he's fairly vulgar in his songs. There are a lot of very explicit sexual lyrics. I don't necessarily mind that, but it's not necessarily a family audience. It's not necessarily a family program. So he cut all that out, obviously.
Well, neither was Elvis,
Well, the shaking of the hips, right? Back then,
that was
very
just too much.
Risque. I just think that people should, I agree with you on all that. AC/DC would be awesome. I just think that people need to lighten up a little bit and just not necessarily be so critical of the halftime show. I understand the whole Justin Timberlake debacle. That was bad. but take it for what it's worth. It's entertainment. It's like it's basically a circus. It's not supposed to be serious. It's supposed to be fun. I don't care if Katy Perry's what were those whales she had, whales or dolphins that
Forgot
weren't
about that, right?
Remember they weren't dancing. One was way off from the others. I really don't care. I really don't care. So let me move on to another subject here, because as a Giants fan, this one is very personal to me. But I also want to take the Giants out of the equation. So the last game of literally the last regular season game.
Okay.
Between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington football team.
I remember this very well.
Was one of the most disgraceful obvious tank jobs I've ever seen in sports. Now I am all for it. Listen, the Giants beat the at the time, I think they were the Redskins at the time. Last 2 years ago or last year, beat the Redskins in a meaningless game and lost out on Chase Young, which still bothers me, even though they probably would have passed on him anyway, with the way they draft. But so I'm not necessarily against my team losing, not intentionally, but losing a game if it positions them better for a better player in the draft. But the Eagles game and the way the Eagles played that, to me, was so unethical, was so disgusting. And listen, as a Giants fan, I know if the Eagles won that, or if the Eagles had won the game, the Giants would have made the playoffs. Obviously, I don't even care about that. The Giants should have taken care of their own business and not had to depend on the Eagles. But don't treat the fans like idiots. Don't tell us that you wanted to give a third string quarterback an opportunity to play in the last game of the season. I'm not buying it, Doug Peterson, who ended up losing his job anyway. What did you think of that whole situation? I don't think it was blown out. In fact, I actually think the NFL should have investigated it, because you can't have that.
They did improve their draft status. So if you just took it on face value of them losing the game to get better, like you said, with the Giants, or to improve, then they did that. I hated, and I think you did too, the explanation that it was of why you put that quarterback in. And plus, like, the dynamic of Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz is also going on in the background, where Jalen Hurts could win that football game and we'd have more of a conversation about him being the obvious starter. But you could argue with what's going on now, that would make Carson Wentz look even worse in his trade value of what they're trying to get, which it's all business. But the funny thing is that Doug Peterson in the end does get fired. And I think this all the time about Jets coaches who have to lose to get better draft picks, like Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is now one of the best defensive minds for what he did with Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. 3 years ago, he was the head coach of the New York Jets. Most people forget. And he was in a situation where if he wins, he's going to be fired for not doing what management wants him to. If he loses, then he's a loser coach and he's going to be fired for losing. And that's always going to be on his record. So it's just funny to me that Peterson had to do that for whatever reason. Either he thought he was making the team better with the draft situation or the quarterback situation, or management told him to do that. And he said what he said, or management said what he said, and he still gets fired in the end. So Philadelphia, the city, has a problem with wanting to lose. I mean, the 76ers fall in this category too. Now that they have a coach that isn't going to take that, has a winning attitude, and Doc Rivers, number one team in the Eastern Conference right now. But every time, especially in football, it just boggles my mind